What's crack-a-lackin'? Welcome in to My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Show.
Boom. Well, welcome in, everybody, to another episode of My Mind is a Weapon Fantasy Football Podcast. I am your host, Sleazebomb. Today's the last episode of the week. I finally am here. We finally got it going. This is going to be my 8 sleeper plays. Remember, guys, these are not guys that you start over starters. These are guys that if you need to throw them in there because of injuries, especially at tight end with the Brock Bowers news coming out late, I'm going to have some additions there that I think that could be nice plays. And these are based off great matchups, and I'm going to give you the statistics of why I like these plays, guys. Before we dive into it, as always, make sure you tap that thumbs up, hit that subscription button, turn that bell on. I will be live today as well in about 90 minutes here doing some more splash drafts. We're going to lead into my partner Big Draft Energy show where we're going to break down the entire week, so make sure you tune in for both of those. Speaking of Big Draft Energy, we also have the Guys FF. We host the Discord. We cover everything fantasy football you guys need across the board. Dynasty, redraft, pick'ems. And man, I missed the pick'em ticket with my Josh Carty kicker call last week that missed the kick, or Thursday night that missed the kicks. And of course, he missed the PAT and they didn't kick it at the end. Man, I thought it was an absolute lock, but I hit 3 of 4 there. And we do all of our pick'ems on Drafters. So if you haven't signed up on drafters.com, make sure you do use promo code SLEAZE. It will double your initial deposit up to $100, guys. And let's take a look at my 8 players that I like as sleeper plays heading into week 5 here. Starting off with player number 1, QB Bryce Young, and it doesn't get any riskier than this. So before we even dive into the stats here and why I like Bryce Young this week, remember, guys, if this game gets ugly here and we're heading into halftime and the Panthers are down by maybe 14 plus points, this is very scary because Andy Dalton could be in the mix here because Bryce Young has been very bad. But this is one of those teams with the Miami Dolphins, like the Cincinnati Bengals, where it's a get-right game. So we're going to look at his stats here. So 144 pass attempts, 87 completions, passing yards. I didn't even put the stats in because I'm going so fast. Let me grab his passing yards. Oh, my God. My bad, guys. Hang on here. Completion percentage, 64.4%. We'll get to his passing yards as I'm going through it here. That's my fault. I can't believe I left the graphic out. 5 touchdowns, 3 interceptions, passing yards at 753. So not great, not bad through 4 games. Rushing yards, 53. I expect that to go up in this game. The Miami Dolphins give up a lot of rushing yards. We'll get to that. Rush TD 0, deep balls 8. You'd like to see more, but you got to remember Coker's been on IR. Xavier Legette's been out. It's been Hunter, Renfro, and Tet. So they don't really have that Jimmy Horn. You know, he's going to get more involved this week. They say type speedster down the field like Coker to hit the deep balls. So not bad there. QBR 41.8, not good there. That's got to come out number 26 and 54.4 points at QB 25. Now, that we got through that and I messed that up. Now, this is why you have to like him. The Miami Dolphins, guys. And just think about this for a minute here. So I'm going to go through the stats and we're going to talk about the games that have happened. So the Dolphins are second worst, 31st versus the quarterback, giving up 27 points a game. That is only behind the Dallas Cowboys. And the Dallas Cowboys, we all know, is a defense that's absolutely terrible. They've given up 941 yards, 7 passing touchdowns. But here's what you got to look at as well. 163 yards on the ground. That's second worst in the NFL. And 4 touchdowns on the ground they've given up to quarterbacks rushing. That is immaculate. Now we got to look at why those numbers are like that. Well, you played Danny Dimes or Indiana Jones in week 1. He rushed for a ton. You played Drake May in week 2. He's a rushing quarterback. They shattered the Dolphins. You played Josh Allen in week 3. He's a rushing quarterback. They shattered the Dolphins. You played Justin Fields in week 4, and you saw what happened there. This is why I like Bryce Young this week, but again, it is very, very risky because this man could be benched. But if you need a super flex spot start with all the buys that are happening, with all the injuries that are happening this season, I'm okay throwing Bryce Young in as a sleeper this week. QB number 2, and for some reason, it's like people just don't like Sam Darnold. So when you look at his stats, being a top 9 quarterback really shouldn't count as a sleeper, but he does because he's not started in confidence in redraft leagues. And this is a week where he's going to have an absolute great matchup this week. So first of all, let's look at how great Sam Darnold is playing. And I got to throw my apologies to Sam Darnold coming into the season because I did not think he'd be playing this good. And goddamn, he looks great. So here you go. 100 attempts, 70 completions, 70%. That's top 10, number 7. 905 passing yards through 2 games, 5 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. He's even starting to rush more this year. 3 attempts, 38 yards there. Deep balls, 13, number 16 there. And QBR, top 10, number 9 right there at 65.9. These are what you want. These are good metrics for a starting quarterback. And it's just like people don't think that he's like a sexy start. And this week you get the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Tampa Bay Buccaneers are good at what? Stopping the run. This is the Tampa Bay struggles versus receiving running backs. That's why I like K9 this week as well. But we got to look at this. They give up 18.7 points to the quarterback. Right there. That's the start you want with Sam Darnold. 832 passing yards, 6 passing TDs. 158 yards on the ground as well. That's third worst behind the Miami Dolphins, and 1 touchdown on the ground. And you got to look at it as Bucky Irving's out in this game. Mike Evans is out in this game. You do have Godwin and Egbuka out there. You're at home. The 12th man defense plays better at home. This is known very well. The crowd gets after him. Jay Season is going to have a big game. Cooper Kupp, Kenneth Walker. I love Sam Darnold this week as a sleeper play. And it's time to start. This is probably the last time he makes his sleeper play list. Heading over to the running back side, and man, the injuries are piling up. So remember, guys, these are sleeper plays. So if the questions are going to come in, like start Ollie Gordon over like, let's throw out like a like a low end running back like Isaiah Pacheco or something like that. I'm still gonna probably say Pacheco. That's as low as like the running back totem pole goes there. But so Ollie Gordon, 18 attempts, 60 yards, 3.3 yards per carry. Obviously, this is unlimited snap share behind Devon Achane. But what we have to look at now, as this is how I look at this, you're going to get more Devon Achane lined up in the slot. You're going to get him more lined up in line, more Z-back outline as well, because you just lost Tyreek Hill. Now, is Malik Washington going to fill that role with Darren Waller at tight end? We'll see, because you do have Nick Westbrook and Keenan playing probably the big outside wide receiver at 6'2". So that's the only tall guy they got besides Waller. So you may get more carries from Ollie Gordon here going forward as well. So 1 touchdown this season, 2 receptions, 4 yards. Again, low snap share, low target share. Hasn't been out there a lot. 14.4 points, running back 54. I don't know why this is wide receiver 54. God, I was in a panic making this, messing them all up. But look, the matchup you get versus Carolina, I like him for an anytime touchdown here in this game. When they get to the red zone, I feel like he's going to punch one in. If you're missing Chuba, Bucky Irving, and you didn't get Rico Dowdle or Rashad White, this is a nice dart throw play that's probably going to see more usage. The Panthers are very good versus the running back. They give up 13.2. Sorry, that's wrong. Jesus, I'm all over the place today. Just smash panic, smash panic, smash panic. All right. They rank 21st versus the running back, giving up 443 touchdowns on the ground, 121 yards in the air. So, again, sleeper play I like for an anytime touchdown this week is Ollie Gordon. If you need to throw a dart running back in like a deep league, and I'm starting him in our 14-man triple wide receiver, triple flex, content creator league, which is rough, but I'm throwing him in there, and we're praying and hoping for a TD here, baby. Player number 4, running back number 2, Kendre Miller. And man, if you guys don't own this guy and you have Alvin Kamara, please go make sure you have this handcuff, because Kamara is going to be a very, very sexy trade asset for the contending teams. But we're going to look at Kendre Miller. And I like this guy a ton coming out of TCU. Injuries have hampered his career. We all know this. But this season, the usage is going up and up and up. Week 1, 15% snaps. Week 2, 15% snaps. Week 3, 27. Week 4, 31. And he finds the end zone on 11 touches for 65 yards last week. Interesting sleeper play versus the New York Giants this week. Now, you got to look at his stats here on the season. 28 attempts, 124, 4.4 yards per carry. Not bad. 1 touchdown again last week. 3 receptions, 11 yards, 0 receiving touchdowns. Snap share very low again, but it's going up to 31% last week. So 19.4 on the season. And target share 2.1. Now, when we look at the New York Giants versus the running back, they're 5th worst in the NFL, ranking at 28th, coming to 27 points per game to the running back, 465 yards, 5 TDs on the ground. That is 1.25 TDs per game, 118 yards through the air, guys. So let's do the math. That's about 150 yards a game total they allow to the running back position. I do like Alvin Kamara a ton, obviously, but Kendre Miller is going to see work in this game, probably going to give you 5 to 6 points even off the bench. And the touchdown upside is there. We saw it last week with the score. So again, this is another deep sleeper play if you need this week heading into week 5, because of the injuries are crazy and the matchup is here, guys. It's a good matchup for the Saints or Kendre Miller this week. Heading over to the wide receiver side, it is going to be Darius Slayton, player number 5 here. And with you have Malik Neighbors going down. And what you have to realize here, even when Malik Neighbors was out there, guys, Darius Slayton has been the X across the way the whole time to the Y. He's played 97% of snaps in week 1, 99% of snaps in week 2, 76% against KC, and then 87% again in week 4. Now, you're going to have him as the main primary guy now with Malik Neighbors out and Wando playing the slot. Maybe Jalen Hyatt slides in across the way at the wide receiver 2 across the way. So when you're looking at these numbers, again, these are very, very skewed because he hasn't, well, I wouldn't say hasn't been out there, but Malik Neighbors is always your go-to target. So 12 targets, 9 receptions, 135, no touchdown on the season, target share 9.7. That's going to go way up. Snap share, that's what I like. Volume leads to opportunity. Opportunity leads to point, 91.3. That's wide receiver, elite 1 usage, top 10 in the NFL. Rush yards, yeah, he used to get a couple carries back when he was younger. I don't think he's going to get any more this year. And 25.5 points, wide receiver 79. You're getting the New Orleans Saints. We know the New Orleans Saints defense can't stop any position in football. First, the wide receiver, they rank 20th. They give up 33.75. They've given up 574 yards. That's over 100 freaking 50 yards a game to the wide receiver on average, like 135, 5 touchdowns a game. That's 1.25 a game there as well. And this is what you have to look at here as well. And this is shout out to my guy, Debro. If you don't know who Debro is, he needs no introduction. Met him at the Fantasy Football Expo. He's been on the show a couple times. Absolutely amazing dude. Drops amazing information. Make sure you follow his Twitter if you don't already. Like, I think he has 100K either way. Here we go. Last year when Malik Neighbors was out, weeks 5 and week 6, this is per fantasy points data as well. Shout out to them. Look at these numbers, guys. 29.3% target share, 11 targets a game. 56.9% air yards, 2.4 yards per route run, 89.5 yards per game, 36.5 first read share. He's going to be the first read. Darius Slayton is going to be a great, great sleeper play this weekend. It's like people don't know it just because it's not sexy, but the volume is going to be there in bunches, and he should not be on your waiver wire. Make sure you pick him up if he is. Number 6, wide receiver number 2. And again, the injuries are just piling up. Tyreek Hill, man, his foot was sideways. This season is over, and the Dolphins have already said they're releasing him coming next year as well, either way. So Malik Washington moving forward, unless they draft a wide receiver early, is going to have a ton and a big role for the Miami Dolphins. So what you have to look at, remember, these numbers are skewed, but there's one interesting right there in the middle you should be paying attention to. So 15 targets, 8 receptions, 47 yards, but here it is. 8 attempts for 60 yards. They are giving this guy end arounds. He is a speedster. Target share is 13%. Of course, not great because he's playing wide receiver 3. Snap share 58.2. All these are going up because of the injury to Tyreek Hill. 24.7 points. You're going to get the Carolina Panthers. Now, I know the Panthers look very good versus the wide receiver, but you got to realize this as well. J.C. Horn, their superstar corner they have, is going to be on Jalen Waddle. They're going to have to worry about Darren Waller across the middle. Malik Washington is going to fill the Tyreek Hill role and be a very, very nice sleeper play against a very tough defense versus the wide receiver. But again, J.C. Horn is becoming a superstar, and he will be on Waddle. So they rank 2nd versus the wide receiver. That's very good. 23.3 points per game, 396 yards, under 100 yards a game to the wide receiver. 2 receiving TDs given up. So looking at the matchup, not great, but you got to look at the situation of the matchup, and that's where it's going to be great for him. This is going to be a great sleeper play this week with Malik Washington, and he's going to get some end arounds for rushing yards as well, and this guy can fly. Number 7, Tommy Tremble, heading over to the tight end side for the Carolina Panthers. And guys, you got to look at it as well. Jatavion Sanders ruled out again. The injuries just will not stop in week 5. And if I liked Bryce Young as a sleeper like we talked about earlier, to the Miami Dolphins matchup, of course, I'm going to like Tommy Tremble, who coming off a touchdown last week as well with 12.7 fantasy points, 8 targets, 5 receptions, 42 yards. Those are numbers you have to like. And then you have to look at the ranking ability of the Miami Dolphins versus the tight end, guys. And what are the Dolphins versus the tight end? They rank 30th, giving up 16.6 points per game to the tight end position, 302 yards. That's about 75 yards a freaking game to the tight end position. 2 touchdowns, so about 50% chance of a touchdown. I'll take those odds with a sleeper play with Tommy Tremble all day. 14 targets, 11 receptions, 80 yards, 1 touchdown. All these numbers, again, skewed because he hasn't been the starter, right? He's the backup tight end that's filling in for Jatavion Sanders while he's out. So 9.8 target share, 54% snaps, points 25, tight end 24. Now, you got to look at last week with the 12-point game. You get Miami and you get Dallas next week. Maybe Jatavion Sanders isn't back next week as well. He's a nice spot start sleeper for possibly 2 weeks moving ahead here. And I like him a lot this week. Like if you missed on Jake Tunges and, we've got so many injuries happening. Brock Bowers is even out. So, I mean, if you got Brock Bowers out and you're looking for a tight end to throw in, this is definitely the favorite sleeper I like over this next guy we're going to talk about here in a second. Last but not least, it is going to be Cade Otton, the man that is just running wind sprints all year long in Josh Grizzard's offensive system. Make it make sense. And before we even talk about these stats that are freaking bonkers on usage, and usage is what I love, you got to remember that Mike Evans has been out. Chris Godwin came back last week. Egbuka has been out there solo. Cade Otton's been out there every single time. Now you got Bucky out as well with Rachaad White filling in. If you need a spot start tight end, let's talk about why I'm okay barely throwing in a guy that's out there all the time. So Cade Otton with 11 targets, 6 receptions, 34 yards. That is terrible numbers. And you remember last year when Chris Godwin and Mike Evans went out, he was tight end 1 for a 3-week span. He can get the job done. I don't know why they're not utilizing this guy right. I think that's going to change. But target share, 8.3%, very bad. Snap share, 91.8. That's number 5. 5. He never comes off the field. He played 86 in week 1, 91 in week 2, 92 in week 3, and 96% snaps last week in week 4 versus Philly, and doesn't do anything. They've got to get this guy involved. Route participation, 87.8. That's number 6 in the NFL, 9.4 points. Now, how do all these numbers of snap share, route participation lead to 9.4 points? This has got to change. And the matchup you get versus Seattle this week, who is the worst in the NFL versus the tight end? The Seattle Seahawks are dead last, giving up 18.5 points per game, 31 receptions, 232 yards. That is like 81 yards a game to the tight end and 3 touchdowns. So there's a 75% chance of a touchdown as well. I know he hasn't done anything. I know none of it makes sense. The matchup looks great, though, and the usage is great. So if you need to throw a dart throw tight end out there, again, I do like Tommy Tremble better because I like, just because he's got better numbers last week. He got more involved. This is a better matchup, obviously, but he hasn't done anything with it. But if you need a dart throw, sleeper play tight end, look at the numbers here you're looking at. That's volume, and look at the matchup he has. It's the best in the NFL. He could be an okay dart throw tight end this week. Thanks for rocking with me this entire week, guys. That is the end of the episode. That is my 8 sleeper plays. If you need to throw them in a flex play this week that I think that could produce for you with all the injuries that have happened through 4 weeks of fantasy football, it's absolutely bonkers, guys. And remember, I'll be live again here at 7 p.m. Eastern, 4 p.m. Cali time here. If you guys have any comments, questions as well, drop them down below. I answer every single one of them, or try to. There's so many across all my platforms. And if I don't get to them, you can bring it to the live show, and I'll answer every single one of them on there, guys. As always, on your way out, tap that like and subscribe. Remember, turn that bell on so you don't miss anything. Check out the Discord. It's pinned in the comments at the top of the video and in the description as well. And again, shout out to the sponsored drafters. If you haven't signed up, make sure you sign up using promo code SLEAZE. It will double your initial deposit to $100. You can draft with us, pick them with us, everything like that. That's it for me this week, guys. I'll also be live Sunday morning before the show for the Big Start Sit Show, so bring everything you guys have there. If I don't answer them in the video. Thank you guys for all the support. Again, it's been absolutely amazing. That's it for this week, man. Waiver wire will start on Monday, and then we start this process over again, guys, heading into week 6 here, and I hope I gave you great information to help you win your weeks or matchups this week, guys. That's it for me, man. Sleaze Bomb out. Have a safe weekend, and let's get those dubs, baby.